we looked at each character in the Bible story, in the Christmas story, and we looked at the state of their heart before the Christ child was born, and then what happened to their heart after the child was born and they encountered him. So just to give you a little example, although I'd love to expand each one of them, but
Sure.
for instance, the innkeeper had a busy heart, and he missed the Savior completely, and he ended up with an empty heart because of it, because he missed Christ. But the shepherds had an eager heart to find the Christ, and they did find him, and so when they ended up with a full heart. So we took each character and tried to really analyze where were they in their spiritual condition before they encountered the Christ child.
Well, let's talk about that innkeeper, if you will, because sometimes we think about the innkeeper as being, well, we have the expectation that out of thin air he can just create some space for Mary and Joseph to stay for the night. But he, all of these characters, and I really appreciate this approach to the Christmas story, because all of these characters are people whom God used in this wonderful Christmas story. And so when there was no room at the inn, that wasn't something that took God by surprise. It's part of the plan.
Absolutely. And we in the book, we kind of imagine what it would have been like to have been that innkeeper. And, the census was happening and people were coming to Bethlehem and the town was full. And the innkeeper was probably very, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
And this couple shows up, and I don't know, if he took pity on him, if his wife took pity on Mary because she was pregnant, or what. But something compelled him to find a space for this particular couple. And so he offers up his stable, and I kind of picture that he offered up the stable, but yet he went on his way taking care of business and not really taking the time probably to realize what was happening in his stable out in the back. And I think for us, the lesson that we can learn there is, especially during the Christmas time, we get so busy and we just, our lives are filled with they're busy already, but then to add everything that goes on with Christmas to that, all the parties and the shopping and everything else, that if we're not careful and we don't take time, we miss the whole reason for the Christmas season. And so I think the innkeeper is one that I definitely relate to as a mother of 3 kids, and just the busy life and just taking that time to make sure that I don't miss Christ during that time.
Yes. You are listening to The Meeting House here on Faith Radio. Karen Porter and Cherry McGregor joining us today here on this edition of the program as we talk about Make Your Heart a Manger. This is The Meeting House, the Christian Product Expo, summer 2023 in Lexington, Kentucky. So, Karen, we were talking about the innkeeper. You were sharing about the change of heart. For instance, the shepherds possessing an eager heart.
Yeah.
After they encountered Jesus, there was something different, and we find this in all of the characters
Exactly.
that you deal with.
Actually, some of the characters ended up, their heart wasn't better because they didn't allow Christ to change them in a positive way, but the shepherds did. So imagine you're a shepherd in that time. You are the lowest of the low ranks there is.
Mm-hmm.
and they were not even allowed into the temple because they were considered, they were with animals all the time. And so imagine them when they were the ones who heard this message. And I imagine them as wondering what goes on in that temple, what goes on, what is this all about, this religion that we have as Jews. And then for the angels to come and say to them, the Savior has come, and for them to be the ones who heard it. And I see them as eagerly saying, yes, we'll go find him, and rushing to town to find this baby and the who would be king. And, imagine if we had those kind of eager hearts.
Yes.
What if my heart was that eager to see him in every place I go, and to see him even in lowly places like mangers, and to just embrace the idea that God would speak to me in my low position, and that I could know that what God was saying. And so they were rewarded because their hearts were full, and they rejoiced and worshiped him.